where you live in this world, whatever country, whatever continent, somehow my Muslim community is always in the news. Those who are friends of India know that India is home to one of the largest Muslim populations anywhere in the world. Yet, the friends, quote unquote, friends of India make tremendous efforts to make sure that India or Bharat or Hindustan's name is sullied with the allegation that it is bending towards what would say Hindu fascism is the word they use, or right-wing, ultra-right-wing nationalism. And the latest attack on India is, a very negative portrayal of that country, which is very close to my heart. And after all, I do call myself a Pakistani born, an Indian born in Pakistan. The New York Times has reached this level. The case being that in a government school in southern India, which is a public enterprise for viewers in North America, the state-funded education system has certain rules as to what uniforms children wear to school in a multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multilingual country, so that during the school years, going right up to grade 12, children would see themselves at each other as one Indian community, not to be broken up into its various, I would say, 400 languages and 6 religions and 29 states. A great effort is made to bring people together in India. Few people realize what an enormous task that is, because you will realize that no matter what country exists, put in 2 languages, 3 languages, and even Belgium gets into a conflict. All across Africa, we've seen the notion of, tribal divisions marked out by former colonialists. We've seen how ruthlessly the British partitioned India at the behest of, unfortunately, a segment of the Indian Muslim community, and whose repercussions are still today, where people use symbols of Islamism to always play victim and then claim that the Hindu majority is persecuting them. Now, here's the issue. In the state of Karnataka, the school uniform, right up till January, was worn by everyone, and the freedom to religion is tempered by the essential parts of that faith that you are allowed to keep. Now, all of a sudden in February, we figure out that some female students in that school said, we will not come to school unless and until we are allowed to wear a hijab inside the classroom. The school principals and the school administration said, no, you have to wear a school uniform. And that is where you can come. If you wish to wear a hijab, you're free to go to hundreds of madrasas, Islamic clerical schools, where I'm sure these girls would not even be allowed to enter. But that was the argument. It's gone up to the court system. It's gone to the High Court. I think on the 14th, there will be further hearings. But the High Court in Karnataka has clearly stated no religious attire to be worn in government schools till the court hears the full case. Now, we in Canada have a similar situation. Not exactly, but in the province of Quebec, no public servant, police officer, school teacher, government employee is allowed to wear any symbol of religion, because religion needs to be absent from the intersection of government services and the ordinary citizen. Apparently, this young woman, in a video that I've seen, pretty nasty things happened. I would say some of the men who were taunting her, really turned out to be in the category of the Indian English hooligans who were persecuting a young woman who was giving the battle cry of Islam, Allahu Akbar. This is how it got down to. What is very interesting is that this woman in the burqa or niqab came on a motorbike to school, and she drove all the way to the school, defying the state law under which she had to have worn a helmet while driving a motorcycle. Anywhere in India you will see it is part and parcel of anyone who drives a scooty, as they say, or a motorbike. She refused. She found it is quite ironic, she found it acceptable that where she was made to wear a helmet, she said, I don't care, I'm not going to wear this. Why? Because India, India is a Hindu state. I am a Muslim, purified, absolutely. We will fight for Islam and Allahu Akbar. So she didn't wear the crash helmet, but she did put on a hijab as she marched into school. The same 3 or 4 women who went to court and said under India's Article 25, freedom of religion, they should be allowed to enter the school as they wish because it is their religious freedom. The court, on the other hand, had another aspect to discuss, which is what are the essential practices of your faith without which you cannot be. For example, the Sikh community's essential matters of faith include the turban or the kirpan, which is the ceremonial sword they wear, and the kacha, and these are called the 5 Ks. And Sikhs are allowed, because it is an essential practice of their faith, to wear this, whether they are in the military, whether they are in schools, or whether they are little boys or girls. Girls, well, they don't have to wear, they have pretty long hair. They use the concession or the rights of the Sikhs to say, well, the hijab is an essential practice. But that's a blatant lie. The essential practices of Islam are 5, and every Muslim knows it. It is belief in a single God, Tawheed, which we say. It is belief in the Quran as a word of God. It is to say your daily prayers, to fast a month during Ramzan, or as they now say, Ramadan, as if those who practice Ramzan are now no longer valid Muslims. And then to perform Hajj if you have the means to do it. Now imagine that these 5 essential components of our faith are set aside, and these young women, who some say, and it could be true, have been urged on by militant Islamic youth organizations, plus the influence of the Muslim Brotherhood in India and the Deobandi theological Islamic schools, who are the basis of the Taliban ideology, they have suddenly come up and said that the head covering is an essential part of our faith. Nothing could be far from the truth, because what the Quran says explicitly is, cover your bosom. And the reason is that pagan Arab women used to dance topless when their men went out to fight in wars. It was a ceremonial dance to which they were prohibited, and the Quran explicitly says, cover your bosom. It does not say cover your head. It does not say cover your hair. It doesn't have, the word hijab does not mean anything close to what the jihadis are telling us. But they do say it, because if you were to stand up against their lying temperament to put the other on a defensive position, they'll say these are Islamophobes, these are racists. They've learned all the right words and use it to do all the wrong things. Now in India today, from that little school has spread division across India, with Muslims versus Hindus put in a phase. The BBC, the Voice of America, American newspapers, British papers, everyone is on that. Oh my God, India is under a fascist rule of what do they say? Hindu nationalist government. The fact that this man or this party, BJP, whether you like it or not, has been elected twice and governs a majority government is of no consequence. This has happened so many times where radical Muslims, there are majority of Indian Muslims are well settled inside their country. They don't indulge in this anti-Indianism. But a pretty large component of it is very upset that India has good relations with Saudi Arabia, with the Persian Gulf, tiny countries, that its Muslim population is better educated than next door in Pakistan, that was made after slaughtering the arms of Bharat, or Hindustan as we call it. This evil is being spread, and the same people who had no problem when the ban on the burqa came in Norway or France or many countries around the world, they have no issue with what China does to its Uyghur Muslims, puts them in concentration camps. You never hear anyone speak against them. But their own government, their own public education system, when it requires uniformity, so children in public schools wear the same attire, the rich and the poor can't be differentiated, whether it's the shoes or the socks or the shorts or the pants or the skirts that women wear. They all need to get the education provided by the government in India. And in the middle of this, when Muslim women are finally getting out to get educated, you throw in the hijab factor. And now, who will suffer at the hands of these jihadis who put Muslim women who need education to fight for hijab, not for the access to study mathematics or trigonometry or geography or geology or look at astronomy? No. Those girls are being told by their promoters, you are going there to establish hijab. It's unbelievable. There is a district in India, Mewat, where the population is, the majority is Muslim population. And the literacy rate of Muslim women in there is about 5 to 10%. And no one is allowed to build a school over there, lest their women get educated and then get sexually aroused. Because the obsession with sexuality is eating themselves up. The same people who spend their time watching porn are worried about what will happen if I get out on the street and watch a woman's hair. You're so ugly, nobody's going to look at you. Relax. When you die, God has promised you 72 virgins, and you can deal with that when the time comes. But for goodness sake, don't make hell on earth. Everywhere where the Muslim presence is there is trouble. Whether Nigeria, Mozambique, Uganda, it just doesn't end. And then we say the world passes laws on Islamophobia by the wonderful member of Congress from Minnesota. Every Indian Muslim is so joyful that she has taken up the cause of fighting Islamophobia, because that will allow them to spread hatred against what is it we call, the Hanud and the Yehud, the Hindu and the Jew. It's ingrained in our prayers that when end of time comes, the trees will point out to a Muslim and say, hey, there's a Jew hiding behind this tree. And the world will not come to that stage until Ghazwa Hind, which is another doctrine that says all Hindus have to die and all Hindu temples destroyed before the end of time comes, because until the end of time comes, we will not get our visas to paradise. And those 72 virgins will keep waiting for us. It is the obsessive desire to have tons of scotch, gallons of scotch to drink, women by the hundreds surrounding you all the time. Oh, for heaven's sake, grow up, get a smile on your face, look nice, and be helpful to others rather than register that patent scowl on your face that says, I shall never be happy and I will never let anyone else be happy as well. My advice to my Muslim community in India is, for heaven's sake, if men can't stand the sight of the hair of a woman, they should wear blindfolds and walk on the street, because I am sure the blind society of India will take care of the sexually obsessed men that cannot bear the sight of hair, and hair that triggers sexuality in their mind. It is a sickening thought how this happens. And they are willing to see women who are non-Muslim who are showing their hair. They have no problem with that. Imagine. The Muslim mullah wants to see other women with their hair uncovered. Otherwise, if this was a really problem, he would make it compulsory for all Muslim men to wear blindfolds whenever they leave their home. Because the world is surrounded by non-Muslim women who would not think of, other than going to a nunnery or becoming going to a convent to do this. Everyone else is walking down the street, taking a public streetcar, driving a car or riding a bus. And here, my community is watching out. Oh my God, hair ahoy. Look at that hair. Oh my God, I need to shut my eyes. Sick. This is a sickness. We need to see psychiatrists and doctors to say, what is the connection between women's hair and my male sexuality? One day God is going to confront us and say, you idiots. I mean, what has hair got to do with your sexuality? Some of the prettiest women today throughout the world are bald. What are you going to do about that? You're going to make bald women wear hijab? There is one, Sinead O'Connor, who has converted to Islam and has become bald. She is blonde, also bald. For heaven's sake, start studying astronomy, geography, geology, philosophy, the Hellenist philosophers, Ibn Rushd, Averroes. Do something that is worthwhile and leave a contribution, rather than have 4 wives and a whole lot of other concubines for your use, which is what your Khalifas did for 600 years in Turkey, and Awadh, and Bhopal, and every other princely state of India. So I end this today with a humble request to my Indian Muslim community. Get your minds off sexuality and focus on wisdom and knowledge. That will help you in the long term. Not how many women you count that whose hair was showing and triggering emotional distress in your mind. Until then, you take care. Khuda Hafiz. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Hind.